I sense the discussion is moving away from economics to a more philosophical plane, and I'd like to put the following conundrum to the panel, and I'd like to start with Professor Gooding's earlier statement that all science is converging to the molecular. Now, if this is the case, then chemistry has a very rosy future. But from my field, in organisms, the conundrum is, what's a molecule? And as Professor Whitesides has pointed out, the minute you enter living realms where the activities are stabilized by hydrogen bonding and van der Waals forces and even weaker forces, you've got to extend the definition of a molecule to include the weakest possible bonds from 0.1 kilocalorie per mole upwards. And the minute you do that, the entire organism becomes a single molecule because it's pervaded by water. And this is par excellence the holistic view of any living entity. It is one ginormous molecule, as children say. And this, what I'm getting at is the concept of a molecule is an impediment to thinking organismically in biology, and particularly in developmental biology, which is my field. And so I'd like to throw that to the panel for some comments. You see, I'm not a chemist, so I can say this kind of thing.
Is our molecular view too narrow, or should we also focus on single identities? And I might throw that to Justin, because
I didn't want to get that question. I mean, I don't know the answer to that question. Yeah, I really can't answer whether you redefine molecules. I would say that if we look into the techniques that are available nowadays with, say, the super resolution light microscopes, which can be done on live cells and can see entities perhaps as small as 10 nanometers, with a fluorescent label on them, of course. I think that you can actually at least start to look at the interplay of whatever you want to call those bits, whether you want to call them molecules or something else. And so I don't really have I suppose I don't perceive as single microorganism as a molecule, but I also know that we didn't perceive that, we perceived for a long time that a microorganism was a single cellular organism, and now we could perceive it as a loose aggregate of cells. So I can't answer that question.
But is this one of the billion or $1 million problems for society that we need to do, or?
Well, for me, the $1 million problem is much more about how they work than whether it's a molecule or not.
Yeah. I mean, you could make an argument that the cell, whether it's a collection of molecules or a collection of networks or whatever it is, and a city, whether it's a collection of individuals or a collection of networks, there are great commonalities. So one of the arguments that I think one can make is that rather than thinking about collections of atoms that are stable at room temperature and can be studied as individuals, which is a traditional definition, if one moves to something which has the properties that it's dissipative, it does interesting things, it replicates, it does all the other things that go on, then there may be a whole new field of things that ranges from atoms to very macroscopic systems in which it is the function and the properties of moving with time that make the difference. So I think that the cell provides a splendid opportunity to think about that, as do other systems as well.